You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Derek, joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how we doing tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Have some company in town, so I've been hanging out with them a little bit. I shouldn't say just a little bit, but I've been hanging out with them, which is good. I am 2 weeks away from getting the batting cage that we're setting up for the kids turfed out. Got a company coming out to do that, so that's exciting. Have some extracurriculars in the backyard. So, I mean, I'm just hanging out, watching, a good weekend of college basketball. So I didn't watch very much during the season, but I do like to watch the tournament for not only the upsets, but just the competitiveness. Like March Madness, I think really is what it is because of the competitiveness and the passion that these collegiate athletes play with. And it's not just the big name guys. It's not the guys who get all the NIL money. Like, you really do see some David versus Goliath type scenarios, and the team of 5 players that's on the court is greater than the one individual, and it shows up a lot in the tournament, and that's part of the reason you get to see some of these upsets. So I've had a really good time watching college basketball.
Right, certainly into that time, right? And as March starts coming to a close and we start turning the leaf over to April, right? Like, there's a lot of sports kind of gearing up, right? You'll have the March Madness bracket continue into April, right? The Masters is in April. Baseball fans start getting excited because opening days in April. In most cases. So yeah, there's a lot of sports right around the corner. The NFL draft is in April as well, right? So very much a very heavy kind of sports month there, right? The NBA, the NHL are still going through their regular seasons and really starting to make the playoff pushes on those fronts. So lots of stuff just going on in April for sure. So certainly a good time, and kind of no matter which one you like, your flavors on, or you get your flavor that month.
Yeah. And right, wrong, or indifferent, I know neither one of us are massive, like, professional seam heads, but opening days in April too.
Right. Yep. I think that it should be 54 games long, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, you're not wrong. We've talked about that, and I like the thought process behind that. But I mean, there's some people who are big time into baseball, and that's okay. That's their thing. That's what they like to do. More power to you. But yeah, April, for all things considered, April's a really good sport month.
Mm-hmm.
It probably doesn't get listed towards the top just right as you're thinking about it, like rank each month by the sport relevance. But April and everything that it has to offer absolutely deserves to be at least in the higher end of your rankings.
Right. Because no matter which way you slice it, there's something pretty much going on in every every one of the major sports on that, as well as, several of the, sports that aren't the top 4, right? Like,
that might be a good exercise for next week. Maybe we stop right here and table it.
Okay.
And we will come up with a list and see kind of how everybody else kind of falls in line. But we'll take the 12 months and we will individually rank them on where we think they are for this totality of sport.
Okay.
And see how we come up between the two of us. So I like this. I like where it's going.
Okay.
But I'm going to stop our rabbit trail that we normally go down. And I'm going to say, let's actually do something with this next week.
All right. I like it. So next week, you heard it. Let's, we'll go down and we'll list it out, top sport months on the calendar year. Right. Be fun too, to see what the audience thinks and what the chat thinks on that one as well. So would be interesting to see what they have to say as well and how they kind of rank that out too. So we do have a good show tonight though, right? We're gonna talk a little news notes, a little bit of some free agency stuff, still kind of rocking and rolling here. Um, as mentioned, we're about a month away from the NFL draft, right? That's kicking off April 23rd, and in light of that, we're gonna do a little NFL draft trivia tonight. So that'll be some fun there. But yeah, so we can absolutely kind of start rock and rolling through that. Any other things you want to hit up here before we start jumping into news and notes?
So JSN got the bag.
Yeah, he did.
So 4-year, $168.6 million extension for him to be in Seattle. So makes him the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. After the season he just had, rightfully so. Definitely deserves to be in the conversation for that top tier. His game's slightly different than maybe Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson, but the production is amazing. And I think what JSN is doing is kind of what everybody hoped Marvin Harrison Jr. would be doing in Arizona. It just hasn't quite come to fruition yet. Maybe this is breakout year. Who knows? But congratulations to him. And I think it bodes well to Sam Darnold's resurrection. Sam Darnold started out very poorly, but over the last few years, he's really come along. He's shown that he can highlight a top tier wide receiver and get him the football productively, and they're not meaningless targets or yards, like especially the last 2 seasons with JSN and the year before that with Justin Jefferson. So congratulations to him. What else? The Atlanta Falcons thing came out. They signed Brian Robinson Jr. to kind of at least replace on the roster the vacancy of Tyler Algier.
Right. Yeah, so some signings taking place there. Right. There's still some interesting names when it's looking out there as far as free agencies and some of the names still out there, right? And it'll be interesting to see how that comes to play and who ends up making deals somewhere, right? Like Kirk Cousins still out there, right? We saw Joe Flacco sign a deal today to return to Cleveland. What is this? His 3rd stint with Cleveland, I believe.
Was it Cleveland? I thought it was Cincinnati.
I could have read that wrong. I thought he was returning to Cleveland, but I could be wrong.
Going through all my notifications.
Oh, nope, you're right. It was he re-signs with the Bengals.
With Cincy, which I don't think is a bad idea, right? It's a 1-year deal. Okay, so that way you have him for camp. I think it kind of protects you a little bit. Like Joe Burrow, for as good as he's been, has missed some time.
Right.
And having just a veteran presence. I mean, Joe Flacco is not going to be a top 3 quarterback in this league anymore, but I think when he gets in there and he's on your team, like he can rip the ball still. And the Bengals need their offense to win games. Like this defense still has plenty of holes in it. They have a lot of work to do. We'll see how the draft goes for them, but offensively, they kind of steer the ship for the team. So you got to have that quarterback position buttoned down in case your starter goes down.
Right. Yep. So it'll be interesting to see, right? If what team decides to bring Kirk Cousins in, right? Because I do believe we'll see Kirk Cousins with the team before the end of this season. Right. Like last year we saw things so desperate that the Colts went out and signed Phillip Rivers, who hadn't been on a team in 5 years to come out of retirement to start a couple of games. So it'll be interesting, right? A couple of bigger name wide receivers, at least bigger names in the past on the wide receiver side of things. It'll be interesting to see how they shake out and their new roles and what that looks like here. But Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, still all free agents out there. So we'll see how that ultimately comes to play and see what
Juwan
that.
Jennings
Yep.
is another. He's under 30, so at least he's more now relevant.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I think I don't know that I'm surprised. Maybe I'm surprised about Debo because the way that the national media went on and on and on about Debo for years, like you would think that some NFL team was feeding him this information and they'd want to take a run at him. But at the moment, that's just not the case. Now, maybe, right? Maybe they're in conversation with teams, maybe that they just don't want to go through some of the offseason training stuff. And so they're taking kind of the Aaron Rodgers approach. Like, look, I'm going to train with my team in my camp. Like, I'll be ready to go. Like, here we go. Some teams are absolutely waiting until after the draft, right? To see if, they are able to land a wide receiver that they really like. If not, and they decide that they need to, spend some money and bring one of these veteran receivers in, so be it. I think the two that I'm probably most interested in are the oldest two, Diggs and Hill.
Right.
Like I just think that again, Diggs isn't the number one that he used to be, but I think for the right price, Diggs showed last year he can be a really good number two in a short window of time. Like earlier on in his career, he kind of had a way of overstaying his welcome, if you will. But for a short period of time, I think Diggs can offer something to a team that feels like they need some depth at wide receiver. And then Tyreek, I think everyone's kind of waiting to see how many teams are going to bring him in for a physical. Let's see how bad this injury really is. Let's see what his recovery track time is. What do our doctors say? What do his doctors say? That type of thing. But I think all these guys are going to end up on a team that we listed, right? I don't think any of these guys are going to sit out the 2026 season. But for now, we kind of get to see where this shakes out. But Stephon Diggs at 33 and Tyreek Hill at 32 are not spring chickens anymore.
Right.
So, I'm sure, I think internally they carry the presence of, hey, I am still a number one receiver, looking at number one money, everything else. And I think more NFL teams are going, we don't think you're a number one anymore. Like your body's not holding up to it for whatever reason, but we would love to bring you in at this number. And they're just going to have to, if they want to play football, maybe check the ego at the door just a little bit to get into camp.
Right. And some of that too is going to, right. Like Tyreek Hill, I believe he still got money on his deal from Miami. So, right. Like, yeah, one of those that's you can still sign a little bit less and still be making some of that money, right? Like we saw with the former Dolphin, Tua, right? Like still on his deal, had a lot of guaranteed money and signed with Atlanta for kind of that veteran minimum. So it'll be interesting to see how those shake out and what that looks like moving forward there.
No, absolutely. So wide receiver is interesting. I think you see some very similar things going on in the running back room, right? With veteran running backs, see where they can plug some holes, help some teams out depending on what they do or don't do in the draft. Camp bodies, that's always a thing. Normally we talk about that with quarterbacks and spreading the arm around so that way one quarterback isn't taking too many reps and getting tightness in their shoulder or elbow or something like that. But you have Joe Mixon coming off this foot injury that's lasted the better part of a year and a half, if not 2 years now. Kind of same thing as Tyreek. How many times are teams going to bring him in for a physical and really see what this is? You have Najee Harris coming off of his first major injury of his career. He's only 28. So maybe, he'll be able to, see if he can get a 1-year prove it deal. And then maybe he can latch on to another team for another 2, right? And be able to push his 31-year-old aged season going. But that remains to be seen. You have Austin Eckler out there, who's still a viable pass catcher. His body just doesn't hold up to the full workload by any stretch, but in a proper system, I think there's definitely a place for Austin Eckler. And then Nick Chubb. Injuries, I think, really just have kind of set themselves in. He just looked a step slower, maybe a full offseason of not being injured, and he's able to come back a little bit better. We'll see how that looks. But I have a real soft spot for Nick Chubb. Not only being a Georgia guy, but just being a running back guy. Like I love the running back position. I love what these guys can do, and he was smooth. He was so good. He was so good, and he never complained about being stuck in Cleveland. He never griped, never wanted to get out, and a couple knee injuries. Um, I guess really more than a couple. He had a nasty one in college, and then a couple in the pros now have really shortened what I was hoping, and I don't know now, but I was hoping it could have been a potential Hall of Fame season. Um, a little bit longer career than Todd Gurley, but very much kind of the same vein, right? They got injured early in college, finished out, college pretty healthy on a high note, took the league by storm. Gurley got injured again in his career a little bit earlier than Chubb did, but here the last few seasons, Nick Chubb's been dinged up pretty bad too. So personally, I feel bad for the guy because I really am a Nick Chubb apologist. I'm a big fan of his.
Right. Yeah, certainly some of that is unfortunate to see come through, right? But we'll see how this plays out there, right? And it very well could be that we see some team take another shot on that one, just to bring him in, kick the tires on that one, and see what shakes out as well. Other than that, not really seeing much in the way of some news and notes out there, right? Any other thoughts that you want to hit up on this one?
No, I don't think so. Right, just kind of keeping an eye out for where some of these guys may or may not land here over the next, you know, 1 to 3 months, right? As we kind of get into camp, it's again, I don't think we're going to see a whole lot of movement until we get past the draft and maybe into OTAs or teams really evaluate what they have as far as a roster construct. But, um, you know, uh, unlike the wide receiver position, I don't know that all these guys are going to be in a roster. I could see teams completely walking away from Joe Mixon if they don't like what they see with this foot injury. I do think Najee gets a deal. Um, Eckler, I'd put that one at 50-50. Nick Chubb, I think might be in that same Joe Mixon camp. Like I don't know if a team is going to bring him in to start the season unless he's able to show something that the rest of us have not seen this offseason from him.
Yeah, no, I could see that for sure. So, alrighty. Well, are any other news or notes that you want to hit up here before we start diving into some trivia?
No, not at this time. I really haven't seen anything that's worth sharing.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and hit into it then. There's 3 rounds, right? And they kind of increase as the rounds increase as far as some difficulty there goes. We're gonna go with the question and then the answer, right? And then chat too if you guys have some thoughts on this. You want to take some guesses on that? Be sure to chime in here. Let's have some fun with this thing. But yeah, so we'll go through round 1, round 2, round 3. There may be some bonus questions in there as well. So we'll kind of rock and roll through this one. But let's go ahead and get started here with round 1. And right off the bat, question number 1: who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft? You are muted, by the way.
Good. Sam Darnold.
That is incorrect. Sam Darnold also was a number 3 overall pick.
Shoot.
But the number 1 overall pick in the 2020 NFL draft was one Mr. Joe Burrow.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
All righty. Question number 2. What team drafted Patrick Mahomes?
The Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes. They traded up to get him.
All righty. I was like I said, these are the easy ones. We'll start rock and roll into some harder ones throughout the following rounds. What round was Tom Brady drafted in?
6th.
That is also correct, right? Pick 199. Question number 4. Which position is most commonly drafted number 1 overall? I didn't quite catch it. I saw the mouth move, but I didn't catch the answer.
I'm gonna say quarterback.
That is also correct.
Is number 2 offensive tackle?
I actually don't have that one, but I wouldn't be surprised if that to be the case.
Fair enough.
So potentially running back might also have cracked that list with as many running backs as were taken number 1 overall, especially back in the 40s, 50s, 60s type of thing. So, but no, I didn't go through to get number 2 answer, but that's if somebody has that one, throw it in the chat. Let's have some fun with that one. All right. The last question here for round 1. What college did Caleb Williams play for before being drafted?
Played for 2.
It's which
So he
which
played
one?
for USC
There you go.
prior to the draft, but he played for Oklahoma prior to USC.
Right. It was just
I want 2 points for that one.
Okay. Oh, alrighty. So that was round 1, right? Round 1, you went 4 for 5, so not too shabby on that one, right? That Joe Burrow stumper at the beginning, but seems like you found your flow and started getting into the rhythm there. We'll see how that continues here into round 2. So, question number 6, or question number 1 of round 2. Which team selected Justin Jefferson?
Minnesota Vikings.
Correct. How many rounds are in the NFL draft?
7.
Also correct. Going back to 2005, which QB was drafted before Aaron Rodgers?
Alex Smith.
Also correct. Starting off hot here in round 2. Number 9, which team drafted Lamar Jackson?
Baltimore Ravens.
Also correct. And Travis Kelce, when he came into the league, what position did he get drafted into?
I'm gonna say tight end.
That is correct.
I keep waiting for a stumper here. I was like, man, was he an offensive lineman and he's just undersized, so they moved him? Like I had to really.
No, he actually got recruited as a quarterback going into college, and then had some things happen and left the team for a season. And according to the lore, right, big brother Jason managed to get him a spot back on the team.
Oh, Jason.
So, alrighty. So, round 2 was pretty good for you, right? The 5 for 5 on that one, right? Only missing 1 so far. Round 3. Here we go.
Here we go.
There we go, right? Round 3. Who was the first wide receiver drafted in 2021?
Chase.
One more time, I didn't quite catch it.
Is it Jamar Chase?
It is Jamar Chase. That's correct.
Okay.
So you mentioned this one earlier that the and you may have said the team already, but the Chiefs, they traded up to go get Patrick Mahomes. Who was the team they traded with?
Golly. I know they trade up to 9 to get him. I'm going to tell you the Arizona Cardinals because it just seems like something that front office would do, given how they had Kyler, right? They thought they were fine. Like, I don't know. I don't know that one.
That one is the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, the Chiefs traded up to number 10 to go get Patrick Mahomes
10,
and did that
not 9. Okay.
and did that deal with the Buffalo Bills, who then also got Josh Allen. So kind of an interesting deal there, right? All right, question number 13. What year was Andrew Luck drafted in?
Oh, 98.
That would be more like Peyton
No.
Manning type of
Yep.
draft.
Yep. Sorry. Andrew Luck was drafted in 06.
It's 2012,
God, time flies.
right?
He's been out of the league for so long that I guess it
Right.
doesn't matter
Seems
my
like it,
reasoning, but it just seems like it was so long ago because he retired so young.
right? Absolutely. And then you think about it, right? Peyton was in Indianapolis and then got hurt. They drafted Andrew Luck. He came to Denver and Peyton was only in the league in Denver for like 3-ish years. And rode off into the sunset into 2015.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it.
So I guess technically rode off into the sunset 2016, but that 2015 team was the last Broncos team that won Super Bowl 50. Alrighty. Question number 14. Who was Mr. Irrelevant, the last pick in the 2022 draft?
Brock Purdy.
I was pretty quick on that one, and that is correct. Alrighty.
Any other year, and I wouldn't have known. Like that's the
enough.
only Mr. Irrelevant that has become relevant in my mind.
Fair enough. Okay. The last question we have here is, which school has produced the most number 1 overall draft
Oklahoma.
picks? No, that is incorrect.
Alabama.
Also incorrect.
Tennessee.
Incorrect. It is
Ohio State.
It is USC.
It makes sense when you think of the history of the college and how. Okay.
Caleb Williams pushed them over that and broke the tie, because before Caleb Williams was drafted, there were 4 schools at the number 5. Now there's 3 schools. Your bonus question is, can you name the 3 schools that currently have 5 number 1 overall picks in the NFL draft?
In the NFL, like playing in the NFL, or just
Throughout the history.
overall? Oh my
throughout
goodness.
history.
Notre Dame.
That is one of them, correct?
Okay. Ohio State.
That is not one of them.
Okay.
Strike one.
My mind wants to say Clemson, but I think that's recency bias.
That is it. That is also
I think that's Deshaun and Lawrence might be their only 2.
But Deshaun wasn't a number 1.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I'm gonna go back to Oklahoma.
That is one of them.
Historically, they've had a really good program.
Right. So far, right, you've got 2 of them with Notre Dame and Oklahoma, right? Notre Dame had the number 1 pick in 1972, 1959, 1950, 1946, and 1944. Right. So
Right.
that's Notre Dame. Oklahoma had 5 as well, right? With the number 1 picks in 2019, 18, 2010, 1980, and 1976. There's one more team.
Army.
No.
Going way back.
You should take a look at your hat.
Shut the front door.
It is. It is. Georgia also has 5 number 1 overall picks.
Is um,
With 2022, 2009,
Walker. That was Stafford. Okay.
right?
So
19,
22. So Walker and Stafford. Okay.
right? There was a drought in there going back to 1953 when the next one happened, and then
Right.
1945 and 1943.
Yeah. Georgia was not on my list. I would have listed Miami before them.
Yeah. So, interesting enough, Miami only with 3 number 1 overall picks. Ohio State with only 3. And it's been closing in on 30 years since Ohio State last had a number 1 overall pick. Last one happening in 1997.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, right? You named the Clemson as a potential one. Clemson's only had 1 number 1 overall, and that was Trevor Lawrence.
It's Trevor Lawrence. That's a good question. That's a tough one.
Yeah.
How
So
many does Michigan have? Like again, historical blue blood, right? They've been playing football for
2.
2. That's it. Wow.
Jake Long in 2008 and Tom Harmon in 1941.
Well, there you go. There you go. Yeah, round 3 was tough. Round 3 was really tough.
Yes. Well, we stepped it up there a little bit, right? The I totally thought about playing one that the last time the Raiders had the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. Who'd they pick?
Jamarcus.
Yep, another quarterback there. But I thought that one might have been a little too easy. So I left that one out. But
That would have been a good round 2.
Yeah. Or round 1 even. So awesome. Well,
I like that. That's something a little different.
Right. So maybe we come up with a couple more of those throughout the off season here. So kind of a little fun, but yeah, I think that may take us down here to the end of it before we, and then next week we'll really start kind of ramping up here. We'll dive into our month long, which month is the best for the sports side of thing, as well as start getting into the mock drafts here for the NFL first round. So that's what we got on the scope here next week there. But anything else you want to hit up tonight?
And enjoy what you're watching, right? Whether it's basketball this weekend, whether it's NBA and NHL going down in the stretch for their playoff push, whether it's golf getting into their the heart of golf season. I about said getting to the swing of their season. That would have been a bad pun, and I didn't want to do that. Racing's in full bore here at the moment, whether it's IRL or NASCAR. So F1 obviously is kind of a year-round thing now, but a lot of good stuff on. So good luck doing that. Hopefully the weather's nice spring type weather for everybody here, and you're able to get outside and go do stuff. And it's youth sports season, so if anybody has kiddos, right, and they're playing sports, and enjoy the time with them. So it's a good time of year. It really is. Like the older we get, Derek, and I know you know this as well, but it just seems to go by faster and faster. Like that's one thing that our dads told us.
Right.
I look at it now and go, man, he wasn't lying. Like he just was not lying. It's like, what are you talking about? It's the same amount of minutes in an hour, same number of hours in a day. How's it go by faster? And sure enough,
you get busier. It seems like. I think that's the secret there.
It can be too, right? It's just one more thing. Looking at it, go, dang, Pops was right.
Right. So, Oh, and then real quick, we do have Unleashed chiming in there saying Dark Horse, OG, and OT out of Ferris State, Tim and Bob Anderson. He thinks that they've got crazy numbers in film for those guys.
I'll have to check it out.
Right? So, yeah, worth taking a look at. I hadn't spent much time looking in that direction. So, Unleashed,
I couldn't even tell you where Ferris State is.
Michigan.
So, there you go. You're a step ahead of me because
I'm pretty sure.
I'm gonna look at it.
Now I've actually got to look that up and make sure that it's yeah, Big Rapids, Michigan. Of course, everybody knows where Ferris State is,
except for this guy apparently. So slap me silly, I guess. But yeah, I'll check it out. I mean,
so
nothing wrong with that. Heck yeah, they're gonna get put on a team, and anybody who can help the quarterback is good for fantasy. So I'll check it out.
Right. I always like the kind of the dark horse picks out there for people too that they come up with, because it's kind of fun to then dive into some of these guys that may not have a ton of press kind of going their way. So worth looking into, and we'll see what that looks like. So alrighty. Well, I do believe that's going to take us down here to the end of it. Do appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in, playing along trivia, right? Like we'll be back here next week. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Thanks for tuning in. Right, we know it's kind of dog days of the off season, if you will, but things are going to continue to ramp up. So we appreciate everyone tuning in and sticking with us here. So do us a favor, hit like and subscribe. Just so that way you can get the little bell, you can see when we go live, and it just kind of helps our overall numbers for our small independent podcast.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, that's going to do it for us tonight. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.